is for reading novels, and today we've got an action-packed book for consideration. So joining us from Israel is best-selling author Joel Rosenberg to preview The Libyan Diversion, his newest political thriller that is ripped from the headlines. So thank you for joining us. What was the inspiration, though, for this new novel?
Well, thank you, Jordan. Great to be with you. And I love Jacksonville. One of my sisters lives there. So, yeah, look, I've written political thrillers about the threats from Russia, China, North Korea. And now this one is about radical Islamist terrorists from the Middle East. They're trying to get inside the United States. And how do they do it? By going through the Mexican border. What they're doing is infiltrating the country through the Mexican border, but they're not just trying to plan 9/11 style attacks. They're bringing nuclear dirty bombs into the country to do something far worse than 9/11. Let's just pray this novel doesn't come true.
Seriously.
But I think it's a good, it's a smoking hot novel for the summer. That is true.
Yeah, that will definitely captivate you and keep your interest, I'm sure. So what are some of the personal experiences that you've had that may have influenced this book?
Yeah, so when I grew up in the United States and then moved to Israel with my wife and kids here about 9 years ago almost. But during my time in the States, I lived in Washington for 24 years, Washington, D.C., working for U.S. and Israeli leaders, and including the then former Prime Minister of Israel, Benjamin Netanyahu. That's really where I learned a lot about the threats around the world, and particularly from radical Islamist terrorists. And also, over the years, I've sold 5 million copies of my political thrillers. And what's happened is former CIA directors have read the books. The King of Jordan has read my book.
Whoa.
President of the United States, President Trump, and the leaders of Saudi Arabia. So they invite me to come and meet with them in the Oval Office or in these palaces. So I pick up a lot of new information that can become the next political thriller.
Yeah, and tell us how you kind of research, because a lot of it mirrors the current events that we're seeing, right? So how do you kind of cultivate your information?
Yeah. Well, in this case, about 2.5 years ago, I was having a conversation in Washington, D.C. with then former CIA director, former Secretary of State, Mike Pompeo. Pompeo and I have been friends for a long time. He's a fan of the novels. That's how we met. So that was fun. But I was asking him, hey, Mr. Secretary, you know, I've written about a lot of threats, but what am I not focusing on? What should I be worried about? What keeps you up at night? He said, Joel, the ungoverned spaces in northern Mexico along the U.S. border is freaking me out. I said, what do you mean? He said, the Mexican government has essentially surrendered large swaths of territory to drug cartels, human traffickers, organized crime. And the threat of terrorists coming through that unsecured border is a risk. It's why Trump, Pence, Pompeo all worked so hard to build that wall and so forth. But Biden has ended all that. And now 5.7 million people have illegally come into the United States. Now, most of them are friendly and they want freedom and opportunity. But some of them are terrorists and the U.S. is catching them. But who have they not caught? That's what worries me. But I thought I was writing fiction, but it seems to be coming true. I just pray it doesn't all come true.
Right, definitely. What do you hope the people take away from your novel?
Well, I hope that, first of all, that they're just entertained, that they tweet at me at 6 in the morning saying, oh my gosh, I've got to go to work, school, take care of the kids, and I've been up all night thinking, just one more chapter, just one more chapter. They're like Pringles, these chapters. You can't eat just one. And I want them to read all my novels. But then I want them to think about, Jordan, what really are the threats to the United States? And we've got to see bipartisan effort to seal that southern border, or I'm afraid that the Libyan diversion won't be fiction, that it could become true. And I don't think the American people will forgive a president or a party that lets terrorists just walk into the country.
Right. Oh, gosh. Well, thank you so much for joining us. I can feel your passion on this subject. So where can we go for more information? Where can we find the book?
You can certainly find it at my website, joelrosenberg.com. Again, joelrosenberg.com. The Libyan Diversion and all the titles are there. You can learn more about me and also what I'm doing to cover the news here in Israel. And I've even got a weekly primetime TV show on TBN called The Rosenberg Report. You can find out about all of it at at joelrosenberg.com. And the books are everywhere, Amazon, Barnes & Noble, your favorite independent store.
Wonderful. Well, thank you again, and have fun in Israel. What's the time difference?
Well, let's see. It's 7 hours from East Coast.
Okay.
So, yeah, come on over. It's our 75th anniversary year. You should come and broadcast from Israel.
Well, thank you so much. Thank you again. And if you'd like to see this interview again, just head to our website, and that's firstcoastliving.net.